Okay, so in this video, we will be looking at Astro framework and see if it fits the requirements of our little project. I'll be going through the tutorial on the Astro website and following it along as well. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so this is Astro framework's website. It says used by large companies around the world, Google, Visa, Microsoft, and so on. Seems like it is a pretty famous framework. All these big names are being thrown around. I'm going to put it to test and see how it compares with React and the others. Okay, so this is Astro's tutorial page. What do I need to know to get started? So you need to have some basic familiarity with HTML, Markdown, CSS, and a little JavaScript. Then you're totally good to go. You'll be able to complete this entire tutorial just by following the instructions. Astro is for everyone. So it seems like the learning curve is a bit easier on this one, and it focuses on ease of development, which is my kind of framework. That's great. Let's get started. So it says you also need a GitHub account for publishing your project to the web. I won't be doing that as part of the tutorial because I want to develop something using Astro, not just follow the tutorial and use it as my blog. I'm just doing this to get basic familiarity with the framework. So Unit 1 setup. Preparing your dev environment, get the dev tools you need. We have an access to a terminal. Node.js, we already have Node 24 installed. Code editor, we have VS Code installed as well. I'm going to go ahead and skip my knowledge of this. So creating your first Astro project. Okay, launch the Astro setup wizard. Let's do that now. Let's copy that command. When the prompts ask you where to create the project, type in the name of a folder to create a new directory for your project, tutorial, and then you will see a short list of starter templates to choose from. Use the arrow keys up and down to navigate the minimal empty template, then press return to select your choice. So I'm just going to name it Astro-2, enter. And the tutorial mentions to create it as a minimal template. I'll just do that now. Install dependencies, yes. Initialize a new Git repository, no, I don't need to do that. And then we'll install the dependencies. So I did not initialize it as a Git repository because I don't want to commit it. This is just a tutorial for learning purposes. And then once we're finished with this, we'll be creating a new project and then building a framework from there. Okay, so the next step is open your project in VS Code. I'll go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I've just gone ahead and opened it in VS Code. VS Code is a free code editor from Microsoft, and it works really well with AI as well. It has integration with a lot of really good AI tools, and you can install any number of extensions as well to improve or extend the functionality. Okay, so run Astro in dev mode. npm run dev is the command to run a development server, which will launch the app locally for testing. Let's just quickly do that now and see what that looks like. So the development server is running on localhost on port 4321. We can just click on this link and it should open up. Okay, as you can see, we can access the app locally and it's showing us Astro, which is probably the only content at this stage. Let's see what the tutorial wants us to do next. Next, we have write your first line of Astro, edit your home page. So it's asking us to edit this file. So this is the small change we're making. Instead of Astro, we want to change it to my Astro site, and we should be able to see that change on our preview version of app. So within the source directory, you can see there's index.astro. I'm just going to update the contents by Astro style. Amazing. Control save. And as you can see, it's done something on the terminal. It just means that it's updated the contents in the preview website. Let's have a look. The contents are updated now. Okay, so next, the tutorial wants us to store our repo online. I'm going to skip this part because I'm not doing that. I will be doing it later when I initialize my own project, where we'll be adding some more custom functionality. So I'm just going to go ahead and skip this part. Deploy your site to the web. So the tutorial wants you to deploy it on Netlify. I suppose it's good practice if you're doing it yourself and you wanted to see how the deployment works. You could try it. For the purposes of our blogging platform, the development process is probably not going to be as simple as this, and it will be more involved. We will be looking at that later. I may or may not deploy it on Netlify. I could use something else, but we'll see. Right, next, we have check-in Unit 2 pages. In this unit, you will create your first Astro pages with .astro syntax, add blog posts with Markdown files, style an individual page with style, apply global style across pages. Seems like they've invented another extension on us, .astro. And this is why your frameworks don't take off, people, because you keep inventing new extensions every time. Creating your first Astro page. So basically, it's going to create a new .astro file. So in the file pane of your code editor, navigate to source pages where you will see the existing file. In the same folder, create a new file named about.astro. Copy or retype the contents of index.astro. Add /about to the end of your website preview URL. Okay, so we're basically creating a new page for our app /website. So we'll just create a new file about.astro. I don't like this extension Astro. I don't know, it feels a bit weird, but anyways. And they just wanted us to copy and paste these contents, hit save, and instead of going to the home page now, if we go to /about, we can see it says the same thing. My Astro site is amazing. So we've created another page on the website /blog, which is accessible at /about. Let's see if you can change the contents of it. Let's just say the title is about me. Control S, and then you can see the title has been updated. So edit your page, edit the HTML content to make this page about you. To change or add more content to your about page, add more HTML element tags containing content. You can copy and paste the HTML code below between the existing body tags. So I like this because you can just use raw HTML on this. I'm just going to copy and paste this. Let's go and check the website. So you can see the contents have updated. So this looks like pretty standard HTML. I don't know what the .astro extension is for. My guess is that there will be possibly an ability to add some dynamic functionality later on. Let's find out. Next, we have add navigation links. To make it easier to preview all your pages, add HTML page navigation. Pretty standard HTML stuff. Let's just copy that. Okay, now we have a little bit of something that looks like navbar at the top. And we can navigate across the app between the two pages. Unlike many frameworks, Astro uses standard HTML elements to navigate between pages, also called routes, with traditional page refreshes. I guess that's just standard HTML, right? I guess it's funny that you have to explain that now to people, because for a majority of the history of web development, this is how things work. Okay, next, try it yourself. Add a blog page, add a third page, blog.astro, to your site. Following the same step as above, don't forget to add a third navigation. We're just going to skip that part because I think we've got that covered. So we can add new pages to the app. They need .astro extension, and they can use standard HTML. That's what we know so far. But let's see what the next thing is. Publish your changes to the web. We're just going to skip that part because we're not doing that as part of this tutorial. Next, we have write your first Markdown blog post. Interesting. So Astro supports apparently the Markdown syntax. So you can just create blog posts with just an MD file. That is so cool. Let's try doing that. So create your first .md file. So it's saying create a new directory at source pages posts. Add a new empty file with .md extension. Look for this page in your browser's preview by adding /post1 at the end of your existing preview. Change the browser preview URL to view post 2 instead. This is a page you have not yet created. Note the different output when previewing an empty page and one that doesn't exist. Okay, let's try doing that now. So within the pages, so let's create a new directory post. Create a new file, post.markdown. Hello, this is a blog post. In this blog post is I'm trying to create content and publish the files. Okay, let's try that. So the path is post/post. Is that correct? Oh yeah. Yep, so we can see that blog post that we created using the Markdown file. That is so simple and so cool. Okay, saying copy or type the following code, or I'm just making it easier for us to write, I guess. I'll just copy that. Yep, updated, cool. Okay, now it also said try something that doesn't exist. So if I say post 2, not found, okay. So handles 404 out of the box, good. Check your browser preview again at this URL. You should now see content on this page. It may not yet be properly formatted, but don't worry, you will update this later in the tutorial. Use your browser's dev tool to inspect this page. Notice that although you have not yet typed any HTML elements, your Markdown has been converted to HTML. You can see elements such as headings, paragraphs, and list items. Okay, So it's automatically converted the Markdown to HTML. And we can see that by right-clicking and inspecting. Yeah, we can see down the bottom we have just your standard HTML, head, body, headings, paragraph tag. Also put publish on this date in a p tag, h2 lists, and so on. So cool. So Astro can automatically convert Markdown to HTML. That's another thing we've just learned. And you create pages. So you can create pages through .astro extension and then create posts through Markdown extension. Excellent. Link to your first post with an anchor tag in source pages blog.astro. Okay, so just asking us to create a link to the post. Just a standard unordered list, and then this stuff. I'll just copy that. I'll just put this in the about.astro. Just format it a bit. Let's go to the about page, and then we now have the link to the post. Maybe we don't. So, yeah, we've got to update the post one because our is named as post. And then we go back, refresh, we can't post one yet. We have now successfully linked to our first blog post. Excellent. So it's saying now add 2 more files in the posts directory, post2.md and post3.md. Here is some example code you can copy and paste into your files. Yeah, I'll just copy this one for post2. Post2.md, paste, save. Post3.md, save. Just FYI for anyone following along, I'm using the naming convention a little bit differently. I am not using the dash like they are. So they're saying post-2.md. I'm just using post2.md. Now we're adding the links to these new posts. I will simply just copy and paste the existing thing we have. So just copy this line. I'll change it to 2, 3, 2, 3, hit save. Refresh, and we have the links to the other blog posts as well. Post 3. Excellent. Just going to skip the knowledge test and move on to the next part of the tutorial, which is add dynamic content about you. Define and use a variable. How exciting. So open about.astro, which should look like this. And then add the following line of JavaScript in the front matter script between the code fences. Okay, so we are declaring a variable between the code fences. So I'm guessing these 2 lines are code fences. Interesting. So defining a new variable called page title, and then we can replace the content of the page using curly braces, and then it will just replace the variable. Cool, let's just try that. So we're replacing the title, and we are replacing a h1 tag as well. Let's give that a go. Okay, so define and use variable, open about.astro, which should look like this. Yes, it does. Add the following line in the formatter, in the front matter script between the code fences. So these two little lines are code fences, and then we have to define a variable there, and then it should just replace the content, or we can replace the content using curly braces, and it should replace the value of that variable. And then we can refresh the live preview of our page and so on. Let's give it a go. So const page title equals main page, and then the title can just use page title, and then let's just replace this one as well. Oh no, not that one. So I'm just going to put another one here, h1. It says something like this: page is curly braces, page title. So it should replace that in two different places. Okay, so go to home. We should see the main page text in the title, which is at the top here, and then we've replaced the content using a variable here as well, and then in the h1 tag as well. Okay. Use the same pattern to create a page title value to use in index or Astro. And blog.astro. Update the HTML of these pages in both places so that your page title matches your page title matches the heading displayed on each page. Alright, let's just quickly do that. I'll do that in the about page as well. Const page title equals about page. Place here as well. Something to note here is I'm not using any of the extensions in VS Code to help with the code. That's why there's no auto suggestions and things like that. I will do that later when I start my project. For now, I just want to focus on learning. I like typing the code when I'm learning, so I haven't enabled those extensions. Next, we have write JavaScript expressions in Astro. Add the following JavaScript to your front matter between the code fences. You can customize the code for yourself, but this tutorial will use the following example. Okay, so what is it? It's defining another const, and it has a bunch of values. We have another one which looks like an array. Add the following code to your HTML template below your existing content. Right, so I suppose it's the same thing. Instead of just replacing one value, we are replacing a whole bunch of values, a bigger object, and also an array. So I'll go ahead and do that now in the about page. Just copy that. Cannot find first name. What are you complaining about? These. We had multiple code fences. Interesting word, that. Okay, so add the following code to your HTML template below your existing content. So what are we really doing here? So we're defining an unordered list. And then for each item in the list, we are saying that use something from one of your identity object. identity.firstname, identity.country, identity.occupation, and so on. Let's do that. Also, we have this, it sort of looks like React. Let's check what it does. Writing an Astro template is very much like writing HTML, but you can include JavaScript expressions with it. The Astro formatter script contains only JavaScript. You can use all modern JavaScript's logical operators, expressions, and functions in either section of your .astro file, but curly braces are necessary only in the HTML template body. Okay, interesting. So I guess the top part where we have the code fences, you can put any JavaScript in there. But in the bottom part where you have your HTML, if you want to use your JavaScript, you'll just have to put it in the curly braces. So let's try doing that. So this expression here is, I'm guessing it's checking identity.hobbies.length greater than equals to. If this is true, then we are displaying this item. So it's checking if identities, the hobbies in the identity.hobbies, and its length is greater than 2. So we have 3 items in the hobbies. So this expression will hold true, and then it's going to print 2 of my hobbies are, and then identity.hobbies the first item, and then identity.hobbies second item. Let's try that now. Okay, so we can see that now it's updated the content here from the JavaScript we added, and we can also see the skills from the array replaced in that HTML section. Excellent. Next, we have conditionally render elements. You can also use your script variables to choose whether or not to render individual items of your HTML body content. Add the following lines to your front matter script to define variables. Okay, so we have some new variables we're defining, and then add the following lines below your existing paragraphs. Then check the live preview in your browser tab to see what is displayed on the page. So defining these 3 variables and adding these 3 expressions, let's try doing that. Okay, this is very much like React. So it's going to check if this first variable is true before this ampersand sign. If it's true, then it's going to display this. If it's false, it's not going to display it. Let's double check. So we only see 2 lines here. I'm happy to be learning Astro. My goal is to finish in 3 days. We are not seeing this line. We're seeing this line, but not seeing this line. So we can see happy is set to true, finished is false, and goal equals 3. So happy is true, so this is being displayed. Finished is false, this is not being displayed. And goal equals 3. And this is a ternary operator, sort of like if-else condition. If goal is 3, then it's going to display this line. If it's not 3, then it's going to display this line. Since goal is 3, we are seeing this line. My goal is to finish in 3 days. Analyze the pattern. Given the following .astro script, is this a quiz? For each Astro template syntax, can you predict the HTML, if any, that will be sent to the browser? Click to reveal if you're right. All right, so p tag with operating system variable in it. It's Linux. So this is just going to replace operating system with the word Linux. Let's check. Yeah. Student and P, I'm still in school. So if this is true, then we're going to see the P tag is student true. Student is not true, it's false. So we will not see this line. This won't be sent. Nothing will display. Yeah. And then P tag, I have a quantity plus 8 pairs of footwear. So quantity plus 8 is going to be replaced by, quantity is going to be replaced by this value. So this is going to be 3 plus 8. I have 11 pairs of boots. I have 11 pairs of boots. And then last one, operating system equals Mac OS, but operating system is Linux. This is going to evaluate to false. So this line won't be displayed. This line will be displayed. I am not using a Mac. All right, let's move on to the next phase. Style your about page. So I'm guessing now we'll be mixing CSS into the same Astro page. Let's see how that works. Now that you have an about page with content about you, it's time to style. It's about time. Style an individual page. Using Astro's own style tags, you can style items on your page. Adding attributes and directives to these tags gives you even more ways to style. Copy the following code and paste it into source pages about. Alright, so we will just need a style tag. Check all the 3 pages in your browser preview. Which color is the page title of? Home page is black, about is purple, blog is black. Of course, because we only put the change in the about page. Yep. The page with the biggest title text is your about page, okay? So if you're unable to determine colors visually, you can use the dev tools in your browser to inspect. Okay. Add the class name skill to the generated list item elements on your about page so you can style them. Your code should now look like this. Okay, so now we're putting within HTML, we're putting the class attribute. It's an easy change, we can do that. Skill. Also gonna add the following code. So next one is we actually define this class, which is give it some color, some font weight. Let's just copy that. So each of these skills, this list item, we added a new class. And this class, in this class, we're giving it color green and font weight bold. I believe I've saved that. Let's double check that. So the list items are now green and bold. Next we have use your first CSS variable. The Astro style tag can also reference any variables from your front meta script using the define was directive. You can define variables within your code fence and then use them as CSS variables in your style tag. Define a skill color variable by adding it to the front meta script. So just in a similar way with defining JavaScript variables, we can also define CSS variables. So let's do that now. skill color equals crimson. And update your existing style tag below to first define, then use the skill color variable inside double curly braces. Okay, so instead of hard coding within the style tag, we will just now use this variable. So the syntax is var parentheses dash dash skill color. Let's just copy that. Save that. Double check. It has not turned to crimson. What has happened? Check your about page in browser preview. You should see that skills are now crimson, red as set by the skill color variable, passed to the define was directive. Oh, yeah, we missed this one. So we need to have define was directive. Feels a little bit weird, but whatever. Okay, still not crimson. I don't know what happened. I just saved it again and it's working now. Anyways, let's move on. So try it yourself and define CSS variables. Update the style tag on your about page so that it matches the one below. Guess we're defining more variables. Font weight, text case, and then similar thing. Case dash dash what wait text case, no, it's not text case, text transform, of course, dash dash text case, and then finally const, not font weight, font weight equals bold, const text case equals uppercase. Is that right? Let's double check. Okay, so seems like the bold has been applied, but maybe not the uppercase. Crimson, bold, uppercase. Why hasn't it changed? Well, that's what we did. So define bold, we had uppercase. Skill color, font weight, text case, and then font weight, text transform. Save. Let's try a hard refresh. Oh, there it is. Works the second time for some reason. Next we have add site-wide styling. Now that you've styled about page, it's time to add some global styles for the rest of your site. So add a global style sheet. You have seen that Astro style tag is scoped by default, meaning. meaning that it only affects the elements in its own file. There are a few ways to define styles globally in Astro, but in this tutorial, you will create and import a global.css file into each of your pages. This combination of style sheet and style tag gives you the ability to control some style site-wide and to apply some specific styles exactly where you want them. So create a new file at location source styles global.css. Copy the following code into your new file. So it supports global style sheets. That's good. Let's create a new folder, styles. And then within that, we'll create global.css. And then we'll copy and paste that. Okay, so we've got to import it as well. In about.astro, add the following import statement to your front meta. So import /styles global.css. Let's just copy that. Check the browser preview of your web page and you should now see the new styles applied. So what styles did we just add? We've added some body margins, widths, box sizing, H1, background color, font family. There we go. That looks a bit different. So try it yourself. Import your global style sheet, add the necessary line of code to each .astro file, and apply your global styles to every page of your site. All right, let's just do that quickly. So we're just adding this line to index page, and do we add it to MD? Of course, we can't add it to the Markdown files, but these are the two places that we can add it in. So I've just done that. Go to home. Yep, this is now centered as well, so the style has been applied. Make any changes or additions you want to the content of your about page by adding HTML elements either statically or dynamically. Write any additional JavaScript in your front meta script to provide you with the value to use in your HTML. When you're happy with this page, commit your changes to GitHub before moving on to the next lesson. Okay, analyze the pattern. Your about page is now styled using both the imported global.css file and a style tag. Are the styles from both styling methods being applied? Yes. Are there any conflicting styles, and if so, which are applied? I'm guessing the scoped one will take effect. Yes, H1 has a size of 2.5 rem globally, but 4 rem locally in the style tag. The local 4 rem rule is applied on the web page. Describe how global.css and style work together. I suppose they're cascading style sheets. The local one will take precedence over the global one. The local style should override any global styles. Good. How would you choose whether to declare a style in a global.css file or a styles tag? I guess if it's local to that specific page, we would put it in the style tag. Otherwise, it's global to multiple pages, then we put it in the global CSS file. Yep. All right, let's move on to the next one. Unit 3, components. Nice. Okay, now that you have .astro and .md files generating entire pages on your website, it's time to make and reuse smaller bits of HTML with Astro components. So I guess this is where we'll be moving towards React style reusable components, which we can use across our different pages. You'll build a navigation component that presents a menu of links to your pages, a footer component, a social media component, and interactive menu. Sounds good. Along the way, you'll use CSS and JavaScript to build a responsive design that reacts to screen sizes and user input. That sounds really cool. Let's get started. Make a reusable navigation component. Now that you have the same HTML written in multiple pages of your Astro site, it's time to replace that duplicated content with a reusable Astro component. Get ready to create a new folder, build an Astro component to display navigation links, replace existing HTML with a new reusable navigation component. So create a new source components folder to hold .astro files that will generate HTML, but that will not become a new pages on your website. You will need a new folder in your project source components. Okay, so we're creating a new directory, and within that we'll put the component. Interesting that component still has .astro extension, but it's not a complete page, I suppose. Maybe the directory structure is relevant here that determines if something is rendered as a complete page or a component. Perhaps if it exists under the pages directory, maybe that's a complete page. I don't know, we'll find out. Components. And then we are creating navigation.astro. Copy the links to navigate between pages from the top of any page and paste them into your new file, navigation.astro. So we're copying these links and putting them in this component. If there is nothing in the front matter of your .astro file, you don't have to write the code fences. You can always add them back in when you need them. Import and use navigation.astro. All right, let's just first copy and paste the links. Let's just get them from all right, I'll put them in navigation component. Import and use navigation, go back to index.astro. So we'll just import it like standard JavaScript, I suppose. And then we probably don't need to use these. And below, replace the existing navigation HTML link elements with the new navigation component we just imported. All right, let's give that a try. So import navigation from components navigation.astro, and we'll delete these two, and then now we can just use, I suppose, navigation. Is that correct? Yeah, that's correct. I'll hit save. And this is the index page. So let's go to the home page, refresh. I am not seeing the links here. Oh. Actually, I am seeing the links, they're just at the top. Yeah, so they should work like they were working before, so nothing should change here, except that we have put the reusable snippets into their own component, the navigation component. site contains the same HTML as it did before, but now those 3 lines of code are provided by the navigation component. Excellent. Try it yourself, add navigation to the rest of your site. All right, let's do that then. Let's import it in this one as well. Navigation, and then at the top, import navigation from /components. And going back to the about page, the links are still there. That's good. Note, when you restructure your code but do not change the way your page looks in the browser, you are refactoring. You will refactor several times in this unit as you replace parts of your page, HTML with components. This allows you to get started quickly with any working code, often duplicated throughout your project. Then you can improve your existing code's design incrementally without changing outward appearance of your site. I suppose when you're learning things, it's good to not worry about reusability, but perhaps type the code manually. It will really help you to understand the concept. You can then refactor it as needed and compose it into reusable components. Test your knowledge. I think we can skip this. Let's go on to the next one, which is create a social media footer. All right, next we're going to create a social media footer. Now that you've used Astro components on a page, it's time to use a component within another component. Oh, cool. So create a new file, footer.astro, copy the following code in your new file, footer.astro. Okay, so let's just do that right now. New file, footer.astro, and then I'm going to copy this code, paste it. So just a quick look at this code. 2 variables. First is called platform, second is username with some values, and then we have some HTML footer tag and just a paragraph tag. We are replacing the platform content within platform using the platform variable and also the username variable as well. So next is import and use footer.astro. Add the following import statements to the front meta in each of these 3 pages. Import footer, yep, just the usual import, JS style import. Okay, just continuing with the Astro framework. In the previous video, we created a footer component, and now the next step is we're going to try and use it somewhere. So import and use footer.astro. Add the following import statement to the front meta in each of your 3 Astro pages: index, about, and blog. So just the usual JS style import. Add a new footer component in your Astro template on each page just before the closing body tag to display your footer at the bottom of the page. In your browser, check preview. All right, let's try that. Okay, so I've added it to index page. Let's see if we can see something. Okay, so as you can see, we can see this footer now. Learn more about my projects on GitHub. Okay, code check-in. If you've been following along with each step in the tutorial, your index.astro file should look like this. Yep, that's fine. I think it looks like this now. Next one is create a social media component. Since you might have multiple online accounts you can link to, you can make a single reusable component and display it multiple times. Each time you will pass it different properties to use the online platform and username there. So I guess we're getting to React style props here. So you pass in properties to the component and it'll just use the properties, so we can reuse those components. Let's try that now. Create a new file, social.astro. Copy the following code in your new file. Okay, next we import and use social.astro in new footer. Change the code in footer.astro to import. Then use this new component. Then use this new component 3 times, passing 3 different component attributes as props. Alright, so you simply define the attributes as constants. I suppose you use this astro.props and then choose any names and then use those names. And then you can pass in any values in these props. So in the first one, we're passing Twitter, username astro.build. Second one is GitHub, username with Astro, and third one is YouTube, astro.build. So it's the same component, it'll just use different props and display it'll display different values 3 times. Okay, so we're getting rid of these 2, and then we'll import social from // components social.astro, and then we will just use it where do they want us to use it. Get rid of this p tag and we will use the social. What were the props? Props were platform and username. Platform equals thing. Username equals username. Is this correct? Yeah, pretty straightforward. Just passing the values. All right, let's repeat that. Just change the values. Other thing. Another thing. Another username. Another username. Okay, so we can see that just with one component, we have now reused the same component with 3 different values. Pretty straightforward as well, just React style. Next we have style your social media component. Customize the appearance of your links by adding a style tag to source components. Social Astro. So just like we did before, we are putting a style tag in. Let's just do that now. I'll just copy this style tag. Add a style tag to source components footer.astro to improve the layout of its contents. Check your browser preview again. Okay, we've got a little bit of styling here now. I think we put it in the each of the. Okay, so in the social.astro, we are adding some padding, some coloring, font color, background color, and text decoration, none. And then in footer.astro, we are adding some gap and margin at the top. So this is what it looks like. Cool. Test yourself. What line of code do you need to write in Astro components front matter to receive value of title, author, and date as props? So that would be the first one. You declare it as a constant and call astro.props. How do you pass values as props to an Astro component? So to pass value, very similar to React style approach. So you declare, so you use wherever you use the component, you will just pass it as attributes. Let's check that. Yeah, good. Checklist, I can create new Astro component in source components. I can import and use Astro components inside other components. I can pass props in Astro components. Cool. So far we've seen that within each Astro components, we can write HTML, we can write CSS, we can write JavaScript, and we can create components with that approach, and then also pass in properties to make them reusable as well. I guess very similar to, just like I mentioned before, very similar to React or Vue, but instead of this happening in the client side, this is happening on the server side. So this component is rendered on the server and then sent to the front end. Next, we have build it yourself header. Since your site will be viewed on different devices, it's time to create a page navigation that can respond to multiple screen sizes. Create a header for your site that contains the navigation component. Make the navigation component responsive. So try it yourself. Build a new header component. Create a new header component. Import and use your existing navigation.astro component inside a nav element, which is inside a header element. All right, let's try that. Astro. Is that 3 dashes for references? Yeah. And then it's just standard HTML. So we just use nav tag, and they want us to import navigation.astro component inside a nav element, which is inside a header element. Okay. And we'll import navigation here. Navigation like this. Okay, something's wrong with the code fences. It's not highlighting. What is the problem? Maybe we've used the wrong dashes. Okay, so I use the underscores instead of dashes. Just be careful. Cannot find module navigation on Astro because you need a dot slash. Okay, on each page, replace your existing navigation component with your new header. Import header from header Astro. Could just use Control F to replace it, but that's okay. So use the index. Want to use it in about? Let's just do Control F. Find navigation, please. Replace it with header, please. Replace all. Thank you. And then let's have a look. Okay, so this is now in a header component, like it doesn't change much. Changes a little bit. I suppose it changes the HTML. Let's have a look. So as you can see, it's now inside a nav tag and a header tag. Cool. Show me the code. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Show me the code. Yep. Add responsive styles. Update navigation.astro with CSS class to control your navigation links. Wrap the existing navigation link in a div with the class navlinks and the ID attributes set to main menu. Okay, so we're putting it in a div tag, setting some ID and setting some class. Copy the CSS below into global.css. These styles, style and positioning navigation links for mobile. Include and expand class that can be toggled to display or hide the links on mobile. Use a @media query to define different styles for large screens. Mobile first design. Start by defining what should happen on small screens first. Small screen sizes require simple layouts. Then adjust your styles to accommodate larger devices. If you design the complicated case first, then you have to work to try to make it simple again. I suppose this is a good strategy. Always start with mobile first or responsive first, and then you can cater for the larger screens later. Quite often, you don't need to do anything for larger screens. I think it's usually good enough. But sometimes if you have really large screens, you may have to adjust the CSS a little bit. Okay, so this is the new CSS we are adding. So far, I'm really enjoying the simplicity of this framework. Most of the things are pretty straightforward and easy to understand. But we'll see if it gets more complicated later on. Let's see. Okay, so we've updated the CSS. Now, resize your window, look for different styles being applied at different screen widths. Your header is now responsive to screen size through the use of @media queries. Let's have a look. So we can use, if we go to the developer tools, And we could use this thing here. And then we can adjust the size. So responsive, Galaxy Note 20. So where did we add the CSS? We added it to navigation component, nav links. I'm not seeing any nav links here. Alright, so I'm seeing some CSS on the full screen. I'm not seeing anything when I go mobile or responsive, rather. Let me try changing the size so we can see some CSS here, and then I can adjust. So device simulation changes require. Okay, so it disappears when we make it smaller and comes back when it's a bit bigger. So checklist, I can use CSS to add responsive elements to my site. Doesn't explain a lot, but okay, we'll take it. Send your first script to the browser. So we are sending some JavaScript to the browser now. That's inevitable. Had to happen at some point. So let's just accept our fate and go ahead with it. Let's add a button to open and close your navigation menu on mobile screen sizes, requiring some client-side interactivity. Get ready to create a menu component. Exciting. Write a script to allow your site visitors to open and close the navigation menu. Move your JavaScript to .js file. Build a menu component. Create a menu component to open and close your mobile menu. Create a file named menu.astro in source components. Copy the following code into your component. It creates a button that will be used to toggle the visibility of navigation links on mobile devices. You will add the new CSS styles to global.css later. Alright, so let's create the new file, menu.astro. Let's just copy this code. Place this new menu component just before the navigation component in header.astro. Just before navigation, okay. Alright, so we have a menu now, doesn't do anything. Add the following styles to your menu component, include some responsive styles, cool. Okay, so menu's got some styling. Some CSS on expanded. And then over here, on the responsive stuff, yeah, we don't want to display. Yep, if the screen is less than this many pixels, don't display anything. Okay, just added the CSS styling. Write your first script tag. Your header is not yet interactive because it can't respond to user input, like clicking on the menu to show or hide the navigation links. Adding a JavaScript tag provides client-side JavaScript to listen for a user event and then respond accordingly. Add the following script tag using Astro's built-in TypeScript support to index.astro, just before the closing body tag. Okay, so we're putting the scripts tag below the footer. Okay, so this is just native JavaScript, people. Check your browser preview again at various sizes. Verify that you have a working navigation menu that is both responsive to screen size and responds to user input on this page. Okay, so if I refresh that, where is my menu gone? What have I done? So it seems like it is working as expected. I think I got confused for a bit. So the idea is that on the larger screen, you see the whole menu, and on the smaller screen, that disappears. You see this menu link, and then when you click on it, then you see the actual links, sort of like mobile style layout. Yeah, so it is working as expected. Good, let's move on. All right, next we have importing a JS file. Instead of writing your JavaScript directly on each page, you can move the contents of your script tag into its own .js file. So create source scripts menu.js. You will have to create a new scripts folder and move your JavaScript into it. Let's just copy that. Create the file, menu.js, paste it into that, save it, and then we are replacing just all the JS with just an import statement. Whoa, what's happened? Failed to resolve import from source pages, blah, blah, blah. Does the file exist? It definitely exists. So we have source, pages, index.astro, and then we have source, scripts, main.js. So the path should just be /scripts, go one level up, go to the scripts directory, and then menu.js. Why are you not picking it up? Oh, seems like I've used the wrong name. I have done main.js instead of menu.js. Let's just change that. And this should just work the same way as it did before. Let's double check. Yep, still working, all good. So we've just extracted the JS into its own file. Takeaway. You had previously used some JavaScript to build parts of your site, defining your page title and heading dynamically, mapping through a list of skills on the About page, conditionally displaying the HTML element. Those commands are all executed at build time to create static HTML for your site. And then the code is thrown away. The JavaScript in a script tab is sent to the browser and is available to run based on user interaction, like refreshing a page or toggling an input. Yeah, so that's an interesting point for those who may be new to front-end development. There is dynamic stuff happening on the server side, and there is dynamic stuff happening on the browser side. For the browser side, any JavaScript that we write, it needs to be shipped to the browser. It needs to be delivered to the browser, and then it's executed within the browser. So anything we will write in the JS file or the TypeScript file, it's got to be shipped as is to the front end. Whereas the dynamic code, the JavaScript that we wrote within the Astro component at this top section, this is only executed on the server side, and the result is then rendered, displayed, and then the result is sent to the front end, which is generally quite often it's just content mainly. It doesn't have any dynamic stuff, but this JS will then get added to the browser and then bring the dynamic elements to life when it's shipped. Test your knowledge. When does Astro run any JavaScript written in components front matter? When does Astro run any JavaScript written in components front matter? At build time. Optionally, Astro can set JavaScript to the browser to allow users to click page links, faster load times, client-side interactivity. So it's for client-side interactivity. The client-side JavaScript will be sent to a user's browser when it is written or imported. The client-side JavaScript will be sent to a user's browser when it is written or imported in script tags between .astro file code fences in global. So it's the script tag. Checklist, I can add client-side interactivity. Yes, I can. I can import a .js file. Yes, I can. All right, next section. Unit 4 layouts. Now that you can build with components, it's time to create some custom layouts. In this unit, you will build layouts to share common elements and styles across your pages and blog posts. To do this, you will create a reusable layout component, pass content to your layouts with slot, pass data from Markdown front matter to your layouts, and nest multiple layouts. Cool. So build your first layout. Get ready to refactor some elements into a page layout. Use an Astro slot element to place page contents within a layout. Pass page-specific values as prompts to its layout. You still have some Astro components repeatedly render on every page. It's time to refactor again to create a shared page layout. Right, so we're just extracting the common stuff from different pages and putting it into a layout component. So create a new file at location source layouts, base layout.astro. Copy the entire contents of this into base layouts. All right, so we'll just copy this and then create a new folder, layouts, and then a new file, base layout.astro, paste. So if we go ahead and compare that with our index file, so we're just basically moving the common elements to the layout. I suppose the next step is just replacing the common stuff with base layout. So import base layout from /layouts. We can delete this. And then we can get rid of this as well. Let's just start here, just in case. Base layout, and then this is my awesome blog. So we also got to remove this header. I suppose we got to remove everything from here. We don't need any of this. Okay, so I've removed the code that we put in the layout. So now we should have the same thing that we had before. Check the browser preview. Yep, we've done that. Add a slot element to the source layout base layout just above the footer component and check the browser preview of your home page and notice what really did change this time. Okay, so we have to put a slot element just above the footer. The slot allows you to inject or slot in child content written between opening and closing component tags to any component.astro file. Okay, let's try doing that. Okay, so without the slot component, we don't have a p tag here. This is awesome blog over here. And when we put the slot tag here, then we can see the p tag. This is awesome blog. So what's basically happening is the slot, and it then uses the whatever's inside the parent base layout tag, it gets passed into the layout there. Next, we have pass page specific values as props. Pass the page title of your layout component from index.astro using a component attribute. Okay, so you want to pass in a prop page title to the base layout, and then change the script of your base layout.astro layout component to receive a page title via astro.props instead of defining it as a constant. Okay, so we're now defining the props on the base layout component instead of our index component, and then that gets passed into the layout. So we already have a constant called page title. So we can do page title equals we need curly braces, page title, and then Astro. So over here we change const page title Astro. So now the page title gets passed to the base layout, so we should be able to see the main page. Okay, we're not able to see main page. So looking at this code here, there's curly braces here. Maybe that's what we need. So we'll put curly braces, see if that works. Oh yeah, so that was the case. We were missing some curly braces. Check the browser preview, we've done that. Try it yourself, use your layout everywhere. Refactor your other pages, blog.astro and about.astro, so they use your new base layout. Don't forget to pass page title. Let the layout be responsible for HTML rendering of any common elements. Move any existing style tags in the page head with styles you wish to keep to the page HTML tag. Delete anything from each individual pages. Keeping your about page styles using the base layout to render your about.astro page means you will lose a style tag added to the head of this page. To continue to style items only at the page level using Astro's scope styling, move the style tag to the body of the page component. This allows you to style elements created in this page component. Since your H1 is now created by your layout component, you can add the isGlobal attribute to your style tag to affect every element on the page. Okay, so what they're basically saying is that we've moved some component to the base layout, the common code. We've also moved the styling to the common code as well. but for any page specific styling, we will have to put that in the individual pages. I'm going to go ahead and refactor the other components as well. Next, that's done. About. Base layout. And within the slot, we want some of this stuff. So we won't need this. Let's just keep the style tag for now. Okay, let's go to the About page. Cool, I think we still have the styling. On the Astro website, it did talk about putting is global in the style tag. I don't know what that will change. We give it a try. Not sure. And we have to pass in the page title as well. Okay, page title. I don't know why we're rendering it twice. Because of this, maybe. We can get rid of this. Yep. Excellent. So in this section, we've learned that we can use layouts, just like you can use layouts with other frameworks, other front-end frameworks. You can use layouts to put your common code or styling in the layouts and use it that way. Excellent. Test your knowledge. An Astro component file can function as a page, UI component, layout, all of the above. I think it's all of the above. Yes. To display a page title on the page, you can use a standard HTML on the page with static text. Use a standard HTML element on the page referring to variable defined in your component front meta script. Use a layout component on the page, passing the title as a component attribute. All of the above. I think it's all of the above. Yeah. Information can be passed from one component to another component by importing a UI component, passing props, sending HTML. It's probably going to be all of the above as well. Cool. Checklist. I can create an Astro component. Yes, I can. I can set page specific properties to layout. Excellent. Okay, next we are looking at creating pass data to a custom blog layout. Now that you have a layout for your pages, it's time to add a layout for blog posts. Interesting. Create a new blog post layout for your Markdown files. Pass YAML from meta values as props to layout components. So that's pretty interesting. You can create layouts for your Markdown as well. That's pretty cool. Add a layout to your blog posts. When you include the layout from meta property in an .md file, all of your front meta YAML values are available to the layout file. Create a new file at source layout markdown post layout.astro. Copy the following code into markdown post layout.astro. I'm just gonna switch to single view. Add the following front matter property in post1.md file. Okay, so in the Markdown file, we have to import the layout like this. So let's find one of our posts. So it's within these three dashes. So layout dash dash dot slash and the path to the layout file. Check your browser preview. Oh, I think that's the wrong link. So L1 is located at post/post. Is this correct? So what did we put in this file? Written by this author. Okay, did that actually work? Can't remember what changed. Let me just try and remove this. Oh yeah, I see. Yeah. So changing this top section adds these two lines. And I think that's because it adds another H1 here as well. Okay. Add the same layout property to your other two blog posts. Verify in the browser. Sure. So post 2, layout, post 3, layout as well. When using layouts, you now have the option of including elements like a page title in the Markdown content or in the layout. Remember to visually inspect your page preview and make any adjustments necessary to avoid duplicated elements. Try it yourself. Customize your blog post layout. Identify items common to every blog post and use Markdown post layout.astro to render them instead of writing them in your Markdown in post 1.md and in every future blog post. Okay, same concept, just putting the common thing in the layout component. Here's an example of refactoring your code to include the pub date in the layout component instead of writing it in the body of your Markdown. So instead of putting that date here, we will just put it in the layout. And you can use some code as well to make it a bit dynamic. So published on from meta.pubdate.toString dot slice. All right, let's just use that. Save that. So we can see published on, written by, and then we can get rid of these within each blog post. These don't have that. Actually, so yeah, this is updated. Let's check post 2 and post 3. Excellent. Refactor as much as you think is useful to you and add as much to your layout as you want. Remember that everything that you add to your layout is one less thing you will write in each and every blog post. Here is an example of a refactored layout that leaves only individual blog post content rendered by the slot. Feel free to use this or create your own. Okay, that makes sense. So they've just extracted the title, the publication date, the description, the author, and the image into the Markdown post layer. Let's just copy that. Let's look at our main post. Yep, excellent. Avoid duplication. Anything rendered by your layout does not need to be typed into your blog post. Yep, makes sense. Test your knowledge. Can you figure out what should go in the blanks so that following two components together produce working Astro code? Okay, this is just the directory name, right? // layouts. And then this is import footer from // and this is const what is this here? Astro.props. So this is the prop name. The prop name here is written by, is it author? Maybe. Written by author. Yep. Oh, const front meta. So we're importing front meta as a prop, not the author directly. Okay, so you can just use the dot syntax. So it's a complex object. Excellent. So a checklist, I can add a layout property to a Markdown blog post in HTML front meta. I can create a separate layout from Markdown posts. I can use values from a blog post front meta in a layout component. Yep. I think we can do all of that. Next, we have combine layouts to get the best of both worlds. Now that you've added a layout to each blog post, it's time to make your post look like the rest of the pages on your website. Nest your blog post layout inside your main page layout. So nest your two layouts. You already have a base layout .astro. Markdown post layout Astro gives you some additional templating for common blog post properties, such as title and date, but your blog posts don't look like the other pages on your site. You can match the look of your blog post to the rest of your site by nesting layouts. So I'm guessing that we will be putting Markdown inside the base page layout. Oh, or the other way around. So we are importing base layout and then we were putting it in the Markdown post layout. So in this file, import base layout.astro and use it to wrap the entire table content. Don't forget to pass the page title from. Base layout. All right, that's that. So that we can see that most of that styling and format has been applied to our blog post as well. In source layouts, Markdown post layout of Astro, you can now remove the meta tag as it is already included in your base layout. Okay. Check your browser preview, that looks good. So your main page layout, including your styles, navigation links, and social footer. Yep. Your blog post layout, including front meta properties like the description, date, title, and image. Your individual blog post markdown content, including just text written in this post. So everything is combined in this blog post now. We have the base layout, we have the markdown layout, and the content of the blog post that we had in the markdown file. Notice that your page title is now displayed twice, once each. So I've already fixed that. I've already removed the duplicated page title from our blog post previously. Check your browser preview again and verify that this line is no longer displayed. Yep, that's done. Make sure each blog post shows the same page template and no content is missing. Okay. Yep, same template. Same template. Good. No content is duplicated on page. Yep, no content is duplicated. Test your knowledge. This allows you to nest one layout inside another and take advantage of working with modular pieces. Component-based design. Multiple layouts are particularly used for projects that contain markdown pages like a blog. Each of these provides templating for all of your pages. Base layout. I can nest layouts, checking for any duplicated elements. Yes, I can do that. Next we have Astro API. Cool. Now that you have some blog posts, it's time to use Astro API to work with your files. Nice. Looking ahead, in this unit, you will supercharge your blog with an index page, tag pages, and an RSS feed. Along the way, you'll learn how to use import.meta.glob to access data from files in your project, get static paths to create multiple page routes at once, the Astro RSS package to create an RSS feed. I'm ready to add some blog features. I certainly am. Create a blog post archive. Now that you have a few blog posts to link to, it's time to configure the blog post to create a list of them automatically. Access data from all your posts at once using import.meta.glob. Display a dynamically generated list of blog posts on your blog page. Refactor to use blog post component for each list item. Dynamically display a list of posts. And the following code to blog.astro to return information about all your markdown files. Import.meta.glob will return an array of objects, one for each blog post. Okay, so it's just an easy way to access all your blog posts. And we add that in our blog.astro page. All posts equals objects.values import.meta.glob and give it the path eager equals true. All right, let's just copy that. I don't think we created a blog.astro file in previous steps, so I'll just do that now. Just gonna copy the contents of another file. Remove all of this. Double check. Alright, so we have a blog post, and then within that, okay, I could have just copied this. Actually, we did that in our about page, didn't we? So I suppose this is what we did, but that's okay. I'll just copy all of the contents from here. So previously we just had just our usual Astro page, but now we've added this line, which is bring all the posts, all the Markdown posts, and put it into this constant. Let's just save that and have a look. So we have first one. Obviously, we're gonna change the links because our ones are named differently. So we have all our links, right? Still not. Okay, the first one does not have number 1 attached to it. First one, post 2, post 3. Okay, good. Right. To generate the entire list of posts dynamically using the post title and URLs, replace your individual li tags with the following Astro code. Okay, so instead of manually typing the li and passing in the links, we're just using some JavaScript magic. So on the all post constant, we're mapping on each item. We are generating a li, which is a list item HTML tag, and we're passing in a href tag and giving it post.url, post.from meta title, and so on. Let's just copy that. So these 3 lines can then be replaced by just 1 line. All right, so we can see we have first blog post, second blog post, third blog post. So as you can see, it's getting all of this information now from each of the individual blog posts. Your entire list of blog posts is now being generated dynamically using Astro's built-in TypeScript support by mapping over the array returned by import.blog. Now add a new blog post by creating a new post4md file, adding some Markdown content. Be sure to include at least the front matter properties used below. I guess the idea is if we add this new blog post, it will automatically be updated on our main blog page. Let's try that. We'll go post for empty, paste the content, save. And we should now have a 4th blog post, which should point to the one that we just added. Cool. Revisit your blog post page. Yep, done. Challenge. Create a blog post component. Try on your own to make all the necessary changes to your Astro project so that you can instead use the following code to generate your list of blog posts. Okay, so they basically want us to create a new component. Instead of using the list item, we will just use this component. Let's just give it a go. Blog post, Astro, and then it needs to receive these things as props, which is a URL and a title. Const URL equals Astro.props. This is how you work. Const title equals Astro.props. And then what do we put inside it? Do we just put a list item? What are you complaining about? Let's go to blog.astro, and then I think they want us to replace this bit. For blog post URL equals what was it? Post.url, and then title equals post.title. I think this is it. Okay, no, that's not it. Something's gone wrong. Let's check. So we are mapping over the posts, and then within that we're creating each blog post component with the URL and a title, and passing in post.url and a title. I guess maybe this is something that's wrong. Let's just quickly look over here, see what we missed. So blog post.astro we created. So we have const title URL. Okay, so you don't need to do the over multiple rows. But I wonder if you can do it though. You can still do it in 2 different lines as opposed to one, but let's just stick to the tutorial. Did that fix it? No, that did not fix it. At least the object is gone. We have 4 lines, so something is working. So list item a href equals URL title. Okay, maybe this is the problem with this. Oh, maybe not. URL title a list item. URL title, that looks alright. And then we imported it, and then we replaced. Okay, so we did URL equals post.url, title equals post.frontend.title. Maybe that's the problem. The blog post, well, no, Astro. And then I think it was post.matter.title. Okay, got it. So we were passing in the wrong props, but other than that, that's what they wanted us to do. Good. Test your knowledge. If your Astro component contains the following line of code, choose the syntax you could write to represent the title of your third blog post. Okay, so this would be then my post. I believe it's going to be this one. Yeah. A link to the URL of your first blog post. A link, so that would be my post.url, right? Yeah. A component for each post displaying the date that it was last updated. Date. I'm guessing it's this one. Yeah. So I can query for data from my local files. I can display a list of all my blog posts. Yep, I can. Cool. Next we have generate tag pages. Create a page to generate multiple pages. Specify which page routes to build and pass each page its own props. Dynamic page routing. You can create entire sets of pages dynamically using .astro files that export a getStaticPaths function. Okay, create pages dynamically. Create a new file at source pages tags tag.astro. You will have to create a new folder. Notice in the file name tag.astro uses square brackets. Paste the following code into the file. Okay, so we have a function that's getStaticPaths. It returns an array of things, a list of things. And each of these things is an object called params and has a nested tag with some value. And then we also have another constant called tag, which comes from astro.params. And then within the base layout, we're passing in this tag. And then within the p tag, we are using this tag. Post tags with whatever the value of that tag is. The getStaticPath function returns an array of page routes, and all of the pages at those routes will use the same template defined in the file. If you've customized your blog post and replaced the individual tag values, example Astro, Success, Community, with the tags used in your own posts, make sure that every blog post contains at least one tag written as an array. Tags blogging. Visit this URL in your browser and you should see a page generated dynamically from tag.astro. Check that you also have pages created for each of your tags at these URL. Let's give that a try. Create tags. And then we'll just create a new file with square brackets tag.astro. And we'll copy this code, paste it here, and then we check by going to tags. What are the tags? Not found. Astro. Okay, post tagged with Astro. So whatever I type here, or is it certain values? Like blah. Yep. Okay. So it needs to be something from this list. So we have success, community, blogging. Okay, so whatever we've defined in this return object, return array, so the tags for those have been generated. I guess we haven't tagged any of our pages, any of our blog posts. Maybe that's why we're not able to see anything. Let's just create some tags in the blog post. I think they want us to put the tags here. Oh, so we have tags already. There is tags for Astro blogging in the first one. But how come we haven't seen this here? Or are we missing a step? Okay, so at this stage, we are only checking that we have a page created, generated dynamically from tag.astro. So we're not verifying that the post is linked to those tags. Okay, so now use props in dynamic routes. Add the following props to your getStaticParts function in order to make data from all your blog posts available to each page route. Be sure to give each route in your array with new props, and then make those props available to your component template outside of your function. So just like we did before, we have all posts constant. And then we have some props. Filter your list of posts using Astro's built-in TypeScript support will only include posts that contain the page's own tag. So filtering the posts, we're declaring another variable called filtered posts, and then what it does is it calls the filter function and then checks if any of them include the tags. So post.frontmatter.tags checks if each of that post tag has the current tag, which is coming in from the browser params. So let's just copy that line. And then now you can update your HTML template to show a list of each blog post containing the page's own tag and the following code to tag.astro. So we need a list. So I'll just use that list, use that code, paste it here. So we have our filtered posts, and then from filtered posts, we are just creating a list item, which is using the URL and the title. Has that worked? Nope, we have a problem. Cannot read properties of undefined reading filter. So this one, it's saying it doesn't exist on posts. Are we missing a step? Okay, you can even refactor this to use your blog post component instead. That's okay, but what did we miss? Are we not passing in props? Oh yeah, seems like we missed this code. So for params, we're not only just receiving tag, we're also going to receive props as well. So let's just add that. Now that we can see that the editor is happy with the filter function because we are receiving the posts in the params. All posts is not defined. Apparently not. We still have some issue. All posts is not defined. Okay, we do have posts defined here. What are you complaining about? So it's outside. We need to put this inside the get static parts function. Okay, so that was the problem. Let's double check. So excellent. So we can now see for this tag, these are the blog posts and then a tag. If I type something else, we should see a similar thing. So for blogging, we only have first and second blog posts, which are tagged with the blogging tag. Let's just verify that. So blogging tag is in the first, in the second, but it's not in third and fourth. So that's why we are only seeing these two here, and so on. So what did we achieve here? So we basically have the ability to dynamically generate pages or dynamically generate posts, and then we can retrieve params. We've looked at retrieving params and props in these dynamically generated pages. And then our custom logic is basically, hey, render, create like a list item, which is whatever property you receive, you use the URL and title in this dynamic page and check if the tag is present on any of these blog posts, essentially. So analyze the pattern. For each of the following, state whether the code is written inside the get static parts function or outside of it. Import meta.block code to receive information about all your MD files to pass to each page route. Is this inside? Yeah. The list of routes to be generated by get static parts. This is inside as well. The received value of props and params to be used in HTML template. Inside as well. No. So the received value of props and params to be used in HTML template. So when they say received value of params and props, what do they mean? So this is not received. Okay. So tag is received as a param, and post is received as a prop. I guess that's what they mean. So that doesn't need to go inside the get static parts function. Okay, got it. If you need information to construct the page routes, write it inside get static parts. To receive information in HTML template of page route, write it outside getStaticPaths. Okay. Advanced JavaScript generate pages from existing tags. Your tag pages are now defined statically in tag.astro. If you add a new tag to a blog post, you will also have to revisit this page and update your page routes. The following example shows how to replace your code in this page with code that will automatically look for and generate pages for each tag used on your blog post. Even if it looks challenging, you can try following along with the steps to build this function yourself. If you don't want to walk through the JavaScript required right now, you can skip ahead to the finished version of code. Alright, check that all your blog posts contain tags. Revisit each of your existing Markdown pages and ensure that every post contains a tag array. Every post contains a tags array in its front meta. Even if you only have one tag, it should still be written as an array. Create an array of all your existing tags using Astro's built-in TypeScript support. Add the following code to provide you with a list of every tag used in blog posts. Okay, so just like we were retrieving all posts, we can get the tags as well. So you need tags. So create a new set, all posts.map, and check if each post has a tag. Then flatten it. Okay, tell me about this line of code is doing in more detail. It goes through each Markdown post one by one and combines each array of tags into one single large array. So hence the flat function here. So basically it's just getting a list of tags from each of the posts and just combining it. Then it makes a new set. So if it's repeated, it'll just be used just one time. Finally, it turns that set into an array with no duplications. All right. So you now have an array, unique tags with elements items, Astro, success, community, so on. Replace the return value of the getStatic function, getStaticPaths function. Okay, so let's do this now and let's copy this line. Paste it here. And then we're replacing all of these by this stuff. Okay, so it's going through the unique tags, gets each tag, create filtered posts. So it goes through each of the posts and compare if the tag includes, if the current tag is within that post. And yeah, it generates filtered posts basically, and then it returns param tag and post filtered post. So it essentially does the same thing as these lines, but instead of manually doing it, we're just iterating, or not iterating. So instead of manually doing it, we're just using the filter function first, and then returning. A getStaticPaths function should always return a list of objects containing params, what to call each page route, and optionally any props data that you want to pass to those pages. I guess for any dynamically rendered page, we must use a getStaticPaths function, and each function then must return a list of objects which requires params and props and things like that. Earlier, you defined each tag name that you knew was used in your blog and passed the entire list of props as props to each page. Now you generate this list of objects automatically using unique tags array to define each param. And now the list of all blog posts is filtered before it is sent to each page as props. Be sure to remove the previous line of code filtering the posts and update your HTML template to use posts instead of filtered posts. Okay, so in this snippet, we did not filter the posts. We sent all posts at all time, and the filtering happened within the HTML snippet. But now, in this way, we have actually done the filtering and then mapping as well. So what happens if I don't change that? Let's just save that. I guess the filtering code is still running like it was before, but we can replace that with, so we can remove this line, fonts filter post filter. So we can test the tags, Astro, and we also have blocking. This should work just as before. So we're just incrementally improving things. The objective here was instead of manually typing this, we can just use some code to iterate through all the posts and just filter them based on the tags as needed. Final code sample to check your work. If you just want complete copy into, here's what it should look like. Okay, I think that's fine. Our version also looks like that as well. Test your knowledge. Choose the term that matches description, a function that returns an array of page values. This one, getStaticPaths. The process of creating multiple pages routes from one file in Astro. So I think that's dynamic routing. Yep. A value that defines the name of a page route generated dynamically. A value that defines the name of a page route generated dynamically. Is it correct? Yep. I can generate pages dynamically. I can pass props to each page route. Excellent. Build a tag index page. Now that you have individual pages for every tag, it's time to make links to them. Add a new page using pages folder index.astro routing pattern. Display a list of all your unique tags linking to each tag page. Update your site with navigation links to this new tags page. Use the pages folder index.astro routing pattern. To add a tag index to your website, you could create a new file at source pages tags.astro. But since you already have the directory tags, you can take advantage of another routing pattern in Astro and keep all your files related to tags together. Try it yourself. Make a tag index page. Create a new file, index Astro in the directory source pages tags. Navigate to this and verify that the site now contains a page to this URL. It will be empty, but it will exist. So that index.astro. So what they're saying is that if I go to, so if I go to tags directory, it's an empty page. Yeah, we're not getting any errors. So that means the index creation worked. Create a minimal page at index.astro that uses your layout. You have done this before. Okay, just importing the base layout and then page title and other things. All right, so 3 dashes, consequences, base layout, and then base layout. Say H1, just the page title, and then over here we define const page title equals tag index. Actually, this is not correct. This needs to go here, page title equals page title. Here I'll say tag index page, and then we double check. So tags index page. Cool. Create an array of tags. You have previously displayed items in the list from an array using map. What would it look like to define an array of all your tags, then display them in a list on this page? Okay, so in this code snippet, basically they're defining all the tags, and then they are just displaying it using the map. You could do this, but then you would need to come back to this file and update your array every time you use a new tag. Fortunately, you already know a way to grab the data from your Markdown files in one line of code. Sure do. In index.astro, add the line of code to your frontend script that will give your page access to the data from every .md file. So this is the all posts pattern we've been using. Next, add the following line of JavaScript to your page component. This is the same code relying on Astro's built-in TypeScript support you used in source pages tags.astro to return a list of unique tags. Okay, so same thing here again. Basically, let's just copy that to save time. And then we will generate tags in a similar format, just like we did previously. So we'll go all the tags, and then create your list of tags. Instead of creating items in an unordered list this time, create one p for each time. For each item inside a div, the pattern should look familiar. So just a div tag, tags.map, and then within that we have a list of tags. Let's just copy that. All Alright, so this should generate a list of tags over here. Yeah, we can see all the tags are linked. Tags are printed, not links. Okay, in your browser preview, verify that you can see list of tags. To make each tag a link, add the a link to each tag name. So we'll just put it in the ahref. So we should see the links now. Yep. Excellent. Add styles to your tag list. Add the following CSS classes to style both your div and each p tag that will be generated. Note, Astro uses HTML syntax for adding class names. Okay, so we're just adding a new class to the div and the p tag, and then we have some new CSS within the style tag. Alright, so let's just do that. I will put the style tag here, and then I will say div class equals tag, p class equals tag. So what are we doing? We're doing some margin, some border, some padding. Okay, looks a little bit better. Check your browser, yeah, looks good. Code check it. Here is what your new page should look like. So they've put the style tag at the bottom. I've just put it at the top. I guess it doesn't really matter. Add this page to your navigation. Right now you can navigate to this and see this page. You can click on the links to your individual tag pages, but you still need to make these pages discoverable from other pages on your website. In your navigation.astro component, include a link to this new tag index page. Yeah, just a new href. So go to navigation and then we add slash tags. Let's double check that. We have tags link here. So we can navigate across these now. Excellent. Challenge. Include tags in your blog post layout. You have now written all the code you need to also display a list of tags on each blog post and link them to their tag pages. You have existing work that you can reuse. Follow the steps below and then check your work by comparing it to the final code sample. So copy the div class equals tag and style from source pages index and reuse it inside Markdown post layout.astro. So they basically want us to copy these. So we are copying from the index. We're copying this stuff, which is the list of tags, and we're putting inside the Markdown layout. Alright, so I think we should be able to just use this thing here. Oh, actually, we have it in index now. So many files open. Let's go to index and see how we're getting the tag. Yep, same thing, and we just copy that and put tags here. We also need, let's just close all of these. Close to the right, and then index, not this index, sorry. We want this index. And then we want all posts. Copy here, enter, paste, and then the tutorial also wanted us to copy the style. I'll just grab the style from here. So then we should have the same kind of tags at the bottom of these individual. Right? Is that right? I'm not seeing anything. Before this code will work, you will need to make one small edit. Give me a hint. How are the other props written in your layout template? In order to use props values Astro.empty block post in your layout like tags, you need to prefix the value with a certain word front matter. Okay, so front matter.tags.map. Will that fix it though? Front matter.tags. But then, does that mean that we don't need this tags? Okay, so I can see the tags here now. Okay, I see what's happening. So in the index.astro, we were displaying pretty much all tags, but within the layout, the intention is not that. The intention is that for this particular post, we get the tags and then we display them. So in this example, the first post should have these 3 tags. Let's just verify that. The first post does have 3 tags. So it's a little bit different. I thought we would display all tags under the blog post. Code check-in, check your work. Yeah, that's what it looks like. We have the tags, we have the layout, and then we have the style tag. Good. Test your knowledge. Match each file path with a second file path that will create a page at same route. Source pages categories. Astro. I don't understand. But this has different file path. This is categories.astro and this is categories index. Oh, okay. Okay. So you could create a categories.astro directly, or you could create a folder with the same name and then create an index within that folder. So the end result should be the same. Source pages post.astro, so that would be then this one. Source pages products shoes index.astro, that would be then products shoes, something with shoes.astro, this one. I can use Astro's pages folder index.astro routing feature. Yeah, more or less. Next, adding an RSS feed. Install an Astro package for creating an RSS feed for your website. Create a feed that can be subscribed to and read by RSS feed readers. Astro provides a custom package to quickly add an RSS feed to your website. This official package generates a non-HTML document with information about all of your blog posts that can be read by feed readers like Feedly, the old reader, and more. This document is updated every time your site is rebuilt. Individuals can subscribe to your feed in Feed Reader and receive a notification when you publish a new blog post on your site, making it a popular blog feature. I'm just going to skip this part because I'm not interested in the feed, RSS feed side of it at this moment. For those of you who might be interested, it looks pretty straightforward. We're installing an npm library, Astro.js RSS. So we're creating a new page, rss.xml.js, importing RSS, and then we are creating like a get function, passing in an object, and the site property to the Astro config. So within the config, we're also defining our unique URL, and it looks like that's all we have to do to create your RSS feed. So I'm just going to move on to the next step. Astro Islands. So far, the stuff that we've seen is very similar to what you would see in other front-end frameworks, except that this is in Astro, it's executing on the server side, and then in something like React, it would execute within the browser. So the content is just sent to the front end. But Astro Islands is something, it's a feature of Astro where you can actually deliver JavaScript, I believe, to certain sections of the pages, just like you would do for React or Vue, where all of the JavaScript is delivered at all times. Here, I believe it's delivered in certain areas of the page. So let's go ahead and have a look at this feature and see how it works. In this unit, you will use Astro Islands to bring front-end framework components into your Astro site. You will add a UI framework, Preact, to your Astro project. Use Preact to create an interactive reading component. Learn when you might not choose islands for interactivity. Cool. Build your first Astro island. Use a Preact component to reach a visitor with a randomly selected message. Get ready to add Preact. Include Astro Islands, Preact JSX components. Use client directive to make islands interactive. So add Preact to your Astro project. If it's running, quit the dev server to have access to the terminal. Add the ability to use Preact components in your Astro project with a single command. Okay, so we'll stop the dev server and then add Preact library. By the way, I've never worked with Preact before. I've used React, Vue, Svelte. This is my first time using Preact. And Astro add Preact. Interesting. Astro add Preact. Is this not correct? NPX, sorry. Yeah, I was wondering, npm Astro looked a bit weird. Astro will run the following command. Yes, please go ahead. Astro will make the following changes to your tsconfig.js.json. That's okay. Follow the command line instructions to confirm adding. Yep, that's done. Include a Preact greeting banner. This component will take an array of greeting messages as a prop and randomly select one of them to show as a message. The user can click a button to get a new random message. Create a new file in source components named greeting.jsx. Note that JSX file extension, this will be written in Preact, not Astro. Add the following code to greeting.jsx. So within the component, so there is no different directory structure for the front-end JavaScript components. versus Astro components. I guess they all just live in the same folder. Greeting.jsx. Let's have a quick look at this. It looks pretty similar to React. Use state, exporting the default function, and then constant random messages. We have constant, we have state called greeting, and then within the div tag we have a header. Thank you for visiting, and this will be the dynamic message. I guess it needs to be passed in from the calling parent, and that's going to be displayed. Import and use this component on your home page index.directory. Okay, so we will let's just close all of these first, and then we open index.astro. Is this correct? Yep, source pages index.astro, and then import greeting from components greeting. And then we use it just below the p tag. What do we pass in? We pass in a messages, array of messages basically. Hi, hello, stay. Hola. Check the preview. You should see a random greeting, but the button won't work. Okay, interesting. So we go back to the home page. Oh, actually, we need to run the server first. Okay, so we can see, hi, thank you for visiting, but the button is not working. Add a second greeting component with client load directive. Greetings, client load, blah. This has different messages as well. Let's just copy that. I suppose the only main difference is we've added a client load. Maybe it signals Astro to load this dynamically on the front end. Let's try that. Okay, so we have another one. So does the button work on this one? Yes, the button works. Excellent. Revisit your page and compare the two components. The second button works because the client load directive tells Astro to send and rerun its JavaScript on the client when the page loads, making the component interactive. This is called a hydrated component. Once the difference is clear, remove the non-hydrated greeting component. Analyze the pattern. There are other client directives to explore. Each sends the JavaScript to the client at a different time. Client visible, for example, will only send the component's JavaScript when it is visible on the page. Consider an Astro component with the following code. So we have a base layout, a banner, client load, svelte counter. Which of the 5 components will be hydrated islands sending JavaScript to the client? So that would be the svelte counter and then preempt banner. in what ways will the two Preact banner components be the same? Oh, hang on. So yeah, these two. In what ways will the two Preact banner components be the same? In what ways will they be different? So this one won't load any JavaScript to the front end, and this one will load the JavaScript to the front end. They both show the same component, same HTML elements, and look the same initially. The component with client load directive will re-render after the page is loaded, and any interactive elements that it has will work. Okay, so the dynamic side of things, the interactivity, works a bit later when you put the client load on the component. Assume the swell counter component shows a number and has a button to increase it. If you couldn't see your website code, only the live published page, how would you tell which of the two swell counter component you used client visible? I guess one of them would increment something. Now try clicking the button and see. Of course, if you click the button on one of them, one will respond with the increment. Test your knowledge. For each of the following components, identify what will be sent to the browser. I think because it has a client load, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript will be sent. Swell card, only HTML and CSS will be sent. Cool. I can install an Astro integration. I can write UI framework component in their own language. I can use client directive. Cool, that was a good introduction to the islands. Back on dry land, take your blog from day to night, no island required. Interesting. Now that you can build Astro islands for interactive elements, don't forget that you can go pretty far with just vanilla JavaScript and CSS. Let's build a clickable icon to let your users toggle between the light and dark mode using another script tag for interactivity with no framework JavaScript sent to the browser. Build an interactive theme toggle with only JavaScript and CSS. Send as little JavaScript to the browser as possible. So add and style a theme toggle icon. Create a new file, components theme icon.astro. Let's do that. And this is the icon code. We'll just copy that. So essentially, we'll just discuss it. Paste it. So we have a button. Within that, we have a vector image, and we also have some CSS styling in there as well. Import and add the theme icon component to header.astro, so that will be displayed on all pages. Wrap our theme icon and menu inside a div to group them together for styling, and add the style tag as shown below for some basic styles. Let's just do that. So go to the header component. Icon. So putting the theme icon above menu and putting them both in the div tag. Okay, so you can see this little sun symbol at the top now. Doesn't do anything. Add CSS styling for a dark theme. Choose some alternate colors to use in dark mode. In global of CSS, define some dark styles. You can choose your own or copy and paste. I'm just going to copy it. When you update your site to include dark mode, some colors used may need updating. Always check your rendered site when adding new styles and colors and make adjustments when necessary. This can mean adding more dark CSS style rules to display different styles in dark mode, or you may wish to update some colors so that they work equally well in both themes. Consider using your accessibility tools such as Contrast Checker when creating a set of colors for your site, or you can run a check on your website with a browser extension to spot any potential issues. Add client-side interactivity. To add interactivity to an Astro component, you can use a script tag. This script can check and set the current theme for local storage and toggle the theme when the icon is clicked. And the following script tag in source components theme icon.astro. Okay, so we're just using vanilla JS within that component. I'll just copy that. So the idea here is it's not about the JavaScript itself. They're trying to tell us that you can use vanilla JS within the component. You don't need to build your component in any third-party framework like React, Preact, or Svelte. Just use JS. It's probably simpler. Yeah. All right, so we have a script tag is inline, and then we are setting the theme dynamically within this component. Okay, let's check that. So we now have our theme changed. So we can use this icon to switch between the two themes. So I kind of like the idea of working with vanilla JS. I understand that people think that it's not easy to use vanilla JS in front-end frameworks anymore. And using the framework gives you those abstractions like components and things like components and stuff to work with. However, I think the Astro framework changes this approach a lot because it moves stuff to the server side now, and only requires you to ship the JavaScript where needed through the islands feature. It might be actually easier to work with the vanilla JS than to work with a component that's created in React or Svelte or something. Yeah, but we'll see how it goes. Test your knowledge. Choose whether each of the following statement describes Astro script tags, UI components, or both. They allow you to include interactive UI elements on your website. I think it's both. They will create static elements on your site unless you include a client. This is the UI framework. They allow you to try out a new framework without requiring you to start an entirely new project using that tech stack. I believe it's this one. They allow you to reuse code you've written in other frameworks, and you can often just drop them right into your site. This would be UI framework components. They allow you to add interactivity without needing to know or learn any other JavaScript frameworks. This would be the script tag. I can use JavaScript for interactivity when I don't want to add a framework. Yeah, cool. Congratulations. There's one more edit to make. So within the about, we say finished equals true. We hope you learned a little bit about the basics of Astro and had fun along the way. You can find the code for the project in this tutorial on GitHub, or open a working version in an online code environment like IDX or StackBlitz. Check out our docs for guides and reference. Welcome to the universe of astronauts. Cool stuff. I think it radically shifts the way you work with frontend now. Frontend and backend in one stack. Not only that, Astro has the tooling to do stuff on server side which means things are fairly lightweight and really optimized and fast on the front end side. And you only sort of ship JavaScript on sort of as needed basis as well. So I'm really looking forward to working with this approach and building my own blogging platform using Astro frameworks. The front-end ecosystem has been shifting lately towards using server-side stuff because of how big the package sizes are becoming. But I think Astro is really onto something with their approach and really, really interesting. I'm really looking forward to doing this project and see how it goes. Don't forget to like and subscribe to finish the series and keep watching these videos in the future. Thank you.